Hey there, just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here, popping in to share a bit of advice in between bouts of saving the world and such. Truth be told, it's been a slow day, so I think I have some time to spare. Which is good, because I have an important topic that I'd like to talk to you about. Failure. I know you've been there. We all have, really. When you put yourself out there and try your hand at something difficult, sometimes you trip up. Maybe you bombed a job interview, asked someone out and got rejected, tried to help, but made things worse. Whatever the case, despite your best efforts, things just didn't turn out the way you planned. You screwed up, and the worst part is, others likely saw you do it. If you're anything like me, and you tend to live in your head, moments like these can really eat you up. Introspective thinkers are a bit cursed in that regard. We just can't help ruminating over and over about what went wrong or what we should have done better. Now, don't get me wrong, honest self-appraisal can be a good thing, but the problem is that for guys like us, it usually doesn't end there. Our internal self-assessment quickly devolves into a full-scale beatdown complete with all kinds of negative, self-denigrating talk. I don't think I have to tell you that it can get pretty ugly. When that happens, it's good to have a few principles to fall back on to help take some of the heat off. The truth is, our tendency to beat ourselves up stems in large part from beliefs we've internalized. Beliefs that often aren't even true, but which we've bought into because of our upbringing, culture, or environment. To combat these beliefs, we need to connect with truths that can help us gain perspective and break free from their self-destructive hold. Here are a few that I've found to be helpful. The first is that, contrary to what you keep telling yourself, failure isn't a defect. It isn't an anomaly. It's a guarantee. I mean that. You will fail. You're supposed to fail, because that's what learning is. Improvement upon failure. Think about it. You can't improve upon perfection. So if you're improving at all, you've necessarily failed somewhere along the line. The point is that getting it wrong, or missing the mark, isn't some tragic outcome to be avoided at all costs. It's inextricably tied to the learning process. So if you're learning, you're failing. The only time you should expect not to fail is when you've quit trying to succeed at all. Now, learning always implies a lesson, so it stands to reason that when you fail, embedded in that failure is something worth taking note of. Too often we get so caught up in our own self-criticism that we entirely miss what failure has to teach us. It's counterintuitive, I know, but when you do inevitably fail, this isn't time to start feeling bad about yourself. No, it's time to pay attention. If you can pinpoint what went wrong and follow it up with corrective action, the odds of failing again will almost certainly decrease. That's the beauty of failure. It has a built-in mechanism which causes it to diminish over time, but only if you handle it properly. If you refuse to pay attention to the lessons failure has to teach you, and instead pour all your focus into the disapproving voice inside your own head, you'll miss out on a crucial opportunity to grow. The deep irony is that by misusing failure, or refusing to use it at all, you'll all but ensure that it keeps happening, over and over again. But let's say you're smart. You get focused, pay attention, identify the lesson, and work to implement it. What then? Well, put simply, you let go. You don't ruminate on failure. You don't relive it. You don't coddle it. You just let go. Why? Because once you've extracted the lesson, failure has done its job. There is nothing more to be gained from marinating in the memory of what happened. It's over. You can't go back. You can't change it. You can't clean it up. If you want restitution, if you want redemption, all of that lies in front of you, not behind you. There's nothing for you in the past. It isn't there. But you're here, right now. A little wiser and a little sharper than you were before. Equipped with new knowledge and insight that is just waiting to be applied in support of a better you. But you've got to get present. You've got to commit to now. Because now is all you have, and now is the only place you'll ever find the potential to start putting things right. You can work with now. You can never work with then. The last thing I'll say is that when you're experiencing embarrassment or shame as the result of a past slip-up, you should keep a few things in mind. Firstly, it's perfectly normal to feel embarrassment after you failed, so don't waste your energy trying to fight with it. Just let it be what it is. It will come and go in its own time. Your job isn't to feel better. Your job is to be better by applying the lessons we talked about earlier. If you do that, you'll find that embarrassment has a way of shrinking in the light of a wiser and more capable you. Which leads to another important point. You mustn't allow a single failure to define you. In the grand scheme of things, your current mishap is likely just a small part of your overall story. In fact, it could be the catalyst sparking a more hopeful trajectory to your life. Don't let one failure, or even a series of them, close the book on who and what you are. If you simply turn the page, you may come to find that the best of you is just a few paragraphs down. If only you'll keep reading. So take heart, and know that you've still got a lot of road ahead of you. Where you go from here is genuinely up to you. If you extract the lesson, apply it well, and cut yourself a little internal slack, there's really no telling how far you'll go. Just know that wherever your journey takes you, old Spidey will always be right here, cheering you on.